Microphones are on. I'm ready.
All right, we're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on March 6, 2019. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Kelly is here. Alderman Laws. Here. Alderman Clee. Here. Alderman Karen. Here. Alderman Harry Gathright. Present. And Mayor Doncha's chair is.
I'm here. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak? I do not see anyone, so we will go to communications. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchase Manager, regarding purchase of NPD ammunition. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and authorize the purchase from Eagle Point Gun / TJ Morris & Son in the amount of $77,924. Funds are available on Department 150, Police, Ammunition and Supplies account.
Discussion? Alderman Laws.
You may not have the answer to this question. It's just a matter of curiosity for me, because I know last year we authorized them to purchase new weapons, and they changed caliber from 40 caliber to 9mm, and I was wondering if there was a significant savings in the ammunition cost year over year as a result of that.
It's sort of hard to tell. The actual spend on this resupply is bigger than the last one, even though the cost of this ammunition is less, so that they may have bought more of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding landfill gas expansion project FY19. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Sanborn Head and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $28,700. Source of funding is Department 168 Solid Waste Bond Funds.
Now, Mr. LaFleur is here from the landfill to... How about giving us a short explanation of this item?
Absolutely. Superintendent Jeff LaFleur, Solid Waste. This part of the project is just for the engineering for the design of our landfill gas expansion. This will help control odors. We do this yearly, every year. Right now, I'm just going for the engineering part of it. Sooner, probably within the next 3 months, you'll see me coming in for the actual expansion approvals.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding setback barrier wall change order number 6. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and authorize change number 6 to the contract with Northeast Earth Mechanics, Inc. in the amount of $164,655. Funds are available in Department 168 Solid Waste Bond Funds.
You want to give us an explanation on this?
Absolutely. As you've probably seen before, this is my annual wall expansion for the setback barrier wall from the waste to our residents. It's something that's permitted that needs to happen to separate the trash from the residents. They should be able to start immediately. It helps us gain airspace for where our trash is being placed right now.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you
you.
very much. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2019 paving program, arterial roadways construction. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Aldermen approval, award the contract to Brox, Inc. in the amount of $6,853,473. Source of funding is Department 160 Administration Engineering, Bond and Trust Funds.
Now we have two Ms. Gills here. Believe it or not, we have two engineers, both named Ms. Gill. So I don't know which Ms. Gill is on this particular item. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gill.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Mandeep Gill. I work in Public Works Engineering Department. And so this paving program for 2019 is this one is for arterial and major roads. such as Emmer Street, part of Kinsley Street, East Hollis. Those are some of the streets, and we estimate it'll be approximately 11 to 12 miles of major roads that we plan on paving this year, and Brock's Industries is the lowest bidder.
Discussion, questions? Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you. Ms. Gill, I have heard from a lot of people, you know, that the digging up of, let's say, Kinsley Street and everything else, which is one of the arterials that I think is included in this. And I try to explain to people that there's a difference between sewer upgrades and electrical upgrades and water upgrades, and we're trying to get this, because the comments were that it was always being dug up, you know, last year. So can you just give us a very brief to the people who are just wondering, we are getting closer, actually starting to pave them now and everything.
Absolutely, that's a very good question. Kinsley Street is one of the oldest streets in city of Nashua, so the infrastructure in terms of utilities is also old. For example, Liberty, just because we are paving Liberty and Pennachuck, are taking a lot of interest in upgrading their infrastructure because no one wants to dig in newly paved streets. So they are aware of it that city wants to pave Kinsley Street, so that's why these utilities, sewer, gas, and water are upgrading their infrastructure. All of them cannot go into the street at the same time, so they go one after another. That's why residents see that various utilities are digging into the street.
Right. And follow up, if I may,
Yes,
Mr.
of
Mayor?
course.
Yeah, because the common sense approach with us as a city, if we're investing in paving the road, we want a moratorium of anything else, unless it's an acute emergency of digging up what we just spent good money in resurfacing, correct? Is there a 5-year moratorium?
Yes, there is
Yeah.
a 5-year moratorium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Harriet Gathright.
My question is this a new contractor? Because don't we already have a different contractor that's doing the paving? No?
Yes, every year we come up with a set of streets and we advertise it for bidding. So the way our contracts are written, we get a lowest bidder. So last year, the lowest bidder was Newport Construction.
Right.
This year, we have advertised different set of streets. So Brock's is the lowest bidder for arterial roads.
Yes.
So was the work pretty much the same as what the one that's doing it now? Is there a
Yes.
difference in the work?
No, just different set of streets.
Just
The
different
work
set of
is pretty much
streets.
the same.
Interesting.
There are still
Thank you.
streets left over from last year's contract, so
That's
come
good.
spring, you will see Newport out there doing some of the streets left over from the previous year,
Okay.
and then also Brock's working on streets under the contract we're about to
To start.
award. Alderwoman Clee.
I want to comment and piggyback on what Alderman O'Brien had said. We had the same issue in Concord, and I understood that each different utility had to go in and do their job, and then the next one, and I would get the calls about, they just dug it up, why are they doing it again? And I did explain it to them that way, so I'm glad that it got brought out here again, and so on. I know that Newport did it this past year, and they're going to continue. We've had Brock's in the past, correct? And there's been no exceptions or no issues with them, correct? Because I like the lowest bidder. I want to save as much money as possible. I just want to make sure that we go with the lowest bidder, but also the one that's going to do a good job. But we have had them in the past.
Yes, we have quality control. We have set quality control rules and regulations which these contractors follow. We do collect cores and we have plant inspection of the hot mix that comes in. Again, we have a set of punch lists. When resident calls us, complains us, we share it with the contractor and they go back and fix it. So that's how we close.
Follow up?
Yeah, of course.
The reason I brought that up was because I know Beauview, that one was a street that we've redone a few times because there was no good, the quality control of the material was kind of sketchy, I think, and I hate to use that word because I don't know exactly, but I know there was an issue with the material and so on. I just want to make sure that this is not the same contractor
No,
that did that.
the first time what we did on Boview was preservation. We microsurfaced it.
Right.
I agree, the quality was an issue. But the second time when we went back, we milled the old material and put new hot mix. This time we did proper resurfacing. The first time it was preservation, just trying to get additional life out of the street.
It didn't last. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2019 paving program, local and collector roadways. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Aldermen approval, award the contract to Sunshine Paving in the amount of $4,350,642. Funds are available in Department 160, Administration, Engineering, Bonds, and Trust Funds.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Now, are you here on the last item as well?
Yes, HSI.
But Ms. Amy Gill is here on the two intervene. Why don't you just stay there, and why doesn't Ms. Amy Gill come up?
It's not confusing at all.
What?
Said that's not confusing at all.
Maybe if we said Ms. Mandeep and Ms. Amy, maybe we'd be able to keep it straight more easily.
She's paid it.
All right, so did you make the motion?
I have not.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2019 CIPP lining project. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Aldermen approval, award the contract to Kenyon Pipeline Inspection LLC in the amount of $2,825,135. Source of funding is Department 169 wastewater bond funds.
And if you could briefly explain what the lining does and how it differs from replacement of a sewer line and the difference in cost, that would be, I'm sure, enlightening.
Thank you. Ms. Amy Gill from Engineering. This project is the annual lining project that the city puts out to address aging and deteriorating sewers. What the city's trying to do in order to use the most cost-effective approach in taking care of our aging and deteriorating mains is to use trenchless technology to put in fact, a liner that goes inside the existing sewer that's in the ground, as opposed to digging up the pipe and replacing it. The lining entails a fabric that is impregnated with an epoxy material that it's like an inside-out sock. You push the inside-out sock through the existing sewer in the ground, and then they heat up that pipe, and it becomes a hardened structure around the pipe that's in the ground. Essentially, there's no digging up of the roadway at all, so therefore you don't have any street repair, but you do get a sewer that is structurally sound.
And the cost of this is significantly less than replacement.
Correct. When you replace, of course, you have to dig a trench that's typically, depending on the size of the pipe, 8 to 10 feet wide, and then you have to excavate and then replace the fill in the asphalt and sidewalks and curbing and other thing that may be in the way of the sewer that when you excavate. When we do the lining project, we also do address the manholes. If they're aging as well, we do a lining of those, usually with either epoxy material or cement lining in order to keep the integrity of that as well.
Okay. Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you. What is does it extend the life of the sewer before replacement, and how long?
Typically, trenchless technology has been around for 50 years. They say, because people are using it more and more, they say 50 to 60 years, but it wouldn't be unusual to get more than that.
Great.
And they haven't been in the ground long enough to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you. I know that in the city, as you said, we have the aging sewage, and I know we've done some work on some of them, but and I apologize. I was trying to look for this earlier today. how many miles are we planning on doing? I mean, like with the streets, how many miles are we planning on doing? And how many years are we planning on doing it over? I would assume that we've got a long time, just like with our streets. We're doing 11 miles or something at this
Correct. This year, it's scheduled with this lining project to do approximately 4.2 miles of lining of the sewers. And again, those are the older sewers, which are the downtown area. Again, we like to use the lining there, the trenchless sectology, because you don't interfere with any of the utilities in the ground. We do work together with the paving program. We always check the sewers before we do pave a street. If it's a suspect sewer, and therefore we do try to do the maintenance of it.
Follow up.
Yes.
I know some of the streets that we worked on, like for instance Concord Street and so on. I know there were some sewers that being done. Did you do the lining on those, or did you actually? I know you had to remove a lot of the tops and so on of them, and because I got complaints they were on people's lawns. So
So with the older infrastructure in the city, there was a certain period where for the manhole covers, there was an era where the city of Nashville was unique in that they used triangular manhole
Right.
covers.
we have those in my neighborhood.
Yes, that's right. And those manholes are no longer compliant with the standards that are required for people to get in and out of the manholes. Those are replaced during the lining project as well as the paving project. In Concord Street, you did have some very old sewers there, but prior to how we determine if we have to line or excavate is we do a sewer assessment, generally with a CC, a closed-circuit TV. We put those into the sewers to examine it to see what type of rehabilitation would be necessary. And in Concord Street, some of the sewers were very old, but they are in excellent condition. So we didn't have to do much rehabilitation with those.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Alderman O'Brien.
Glad that you mentioned the triangular shape. Being a former firefighter, the confined space in a rescue situation, totally bad.
Yes.
But it is interesting to note that we were probably the only city, I think, that really had the triangular, so the novelty was, I laugh every single time I drive over one. I would be interested in one, because they are a novelty. I think Public Works was selling them at one time.
Well, in our efforts to recycle materials, they are donated to the Nashville Historical Society, takes quite a few of them, and they're able for purchase usually through them, is my understanding. That's how I know that it typically is done.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Alderman Laws.
Does the lining goes inside of the sewer?
Yes, it
Correct.
goes, you will take a manhole and then drop the lining inside the sewer. And then it's, like I said,
And it fills up the sewer. Does it affect flow rates is my question.
it actually improves the flow rate.
Really?
While you lose the diameter of the pipe ever so much, say in say a 15-inch pipe, the inner diameter may be reduced approximately an inch, inch and a half. There's a flow rate value that's increased because the interior pipe is no longer a rough surface, as you have with pipe, but now you have a smooth, practically plastic pipe, what you have when it's all cured, and that helps with the velocity of the flow.
That's great.
So,
Especially for downtown where flow rates are an issue with a lot of businesses, this might actually help them.
yeah, it actually, because it is a much smoother surface, the calculations for flow tend to increase a little bit.
Certainly. Great.
So.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I had two. I'm going to try to remember the second one by the time I'm done with the first one. Oh, I remember. Okay, so question one is, are we ever able to line it more than once, or is it just a one time and then you have to replace it?
I am not aware of any pipes yet that have been lined twice. The philosophy that we are trying to use with the city too is we're working with lining companies. This is our second or could be even our third lining contract, and we're trying to do as many pipes as possible. There's a range of condition when we're going into the pipes. Some have more severe cracking than other. We do line the pipe once, no matter how significant the problems are. But we do feel if there is an area where, for instance, we lose the shape of the pipe and therefore its structural ability, we wouldn't be able to line that a second time, but we would actually probably have to excavate and then replace it with a new pipe. So.
Yes.
My second question was, whether we ever go in after we've looked at it by camera and realize that it can't be lined, that it's much further gone than we expected.
Yes, and that's why we turn those, coming up, you'll see we have a small replacement contract. And then we do find that there's certain pipes, certain material, concrete in particular, can deteriorate to a point where you can't line it, and then we have to replace it. We are trying to do with this lining contract as well, you may see, there are some places where there may be a collapsed section, say in a 150-foot reach. We are repairing a certain 10-foot or maybe 5 to 8-foot section of a pipe so that we could line the rest of it. That still is less expensive than replacing the whole segment of pipe.
Thank you.
So.
Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2019 sewer replacement construction. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Aldermen approval, award the contract to N. Granassi and Sons, Inc. in the amount of $1,001,888. Funds are available in Department 169 wastewater bond funds.
Discussion? Now, these are sewer this is a sewer replacement contract. So based on what Ms. Gill told us, of course, it is sewer that is too deteriorated to line.
Correct. And Mayor, as Mayor discussed about the cost comparison, you could see in this item, we're only doing about 1,300 linear feet of sewer to replace. It also is very deep pipe in the downtown area. That also adds to the cost. As compared to the lining contract, which is, just under $3 million, but we're doing 4.2 miles of rehabilitation as compared to $1 million here for 1,300 feet.
So this is costing about $4 million a mile, approximately, where the other is where the lining is costing more like $500,000 a mile, or $600,000 a mile, something like that.
Something less amount. And again, with the replacement, it's the depth of the sewer too that can really increase the cost.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And now I think that's it for
Ms. Gill.
Ms. Gill, and now we're back to Ms. Mandeep Gill. I believe for the last item, Alderwoman Kelly.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding pavement management engineering services. Mr. Mayor, I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Hayner Swanson, Inc. in the amount of $462,435. Source of funding is Department 169 wastewater bond funds.
Do you want to review what this contract will do?
Sure. This year, as you all are aware, we have undertaken an extensive paving program. It includes 3 major contracts, 2 from this year and 1 from last year. The 2 that are, they are $6.85 million contract with Brox to pave major and arterial roads. The second contract is $4.35 million contract with Sunshine to pave local roads. And the federal contract, which is almost $4.4 million from last year, which Newport will be handling. So with these 3 contracts that we'll be actively working on this year, spring through fall, we need additional help because at Public Works, there are only 3 people who are actively involved with paving program. So for additional help, we we actually always lean to HSI. They have worked with us in the past also. So they basically help with overall management, project coordination, construction administration, and observation.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, we have none. New business, none. Is there a motion on the record of expenditures?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period February 16th, 2019 to February 28th, 2019.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. General discussion items? Any public comment? There is none. Remarks by Alderman? Alderwoman Kelly?
I'm going to move to go into non-public, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move that the Finance Committee go into non-public session by roll call pursuant to RSA 91A 3 Roman numeral 2 C and E for consideration of pending claims or litigation would have been threatening in writing or filed against the public body. Now I have to do roll call. Mayor Donches.
Yes, sorry.
Alderman
Yes.
O'Brien. Yes. Alderman Kelly is a yay. Alderman Laws. Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderman Harry Gathray.
Yes.
We have 7 yeas.
When you called me, I was about to say here, but then I figured on something else.
Sorry.
All right, so everyone, we're going to close the doors, and everyone that is not related to these next two non-public items should please exit the room.
Mr. Mayor, do you want
Yes.
me to check to make sure that he did shut off the
Sure, that'd be great.
thing?